The word for anger here is orhihe. This is not an explosive outburst of anger when Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. It is an inner deep resentment that builds, a bitterness that stirs. Again, the context is regarding the word of God. Be slow to build resentment against the word. In other words, the context there is don't. When it confronts sin or challenges your feelings. Now, oftentimes what happens, people will present this inner orhihe in a lot of different ways. Sometimes people will be actively verbal. Read Romans 1, don't like it. That's actually the healthiest. Okay, let's talk about it. And as long as at the end of the day you're willing to submit to the scriptures, we're good. But it's okay to find something that bothers you and you're offended by it. Let's push into it and let's discuss it. Let's talk to it. That's the healthiest way when people verbally express their feelings outwardly. Sometimes they'll find a way to excuse away clear teachings. Well, Paul said that. Jesus didn't say it. I'm a red letter guy. And so I'm going to, well, that was just a cultural thing. It doesn't apply today. That sort of conversation. And then there's people who will just happen over the tough spots like they don't exist. Have any of you ever had the silent treatment played on you? Okay, now here's a tougher question. How many of you have played the silent treatment game? All right, there we go. All right, we got some honest people in the room. All right, so the silent treatment, it's one of the most brutal ways to communicate. It's passive aggressive, right? It's one of the most brutal ways to communicate your frustration. And it's unnerving. And it's unfair. If we'll be honest, it's unfair to passively communicate your anger. And so what happens is when sometimes people have an inner anger and resentment towards the word, they'll just skip over and almost give the silent treatment to parts of the Bible that offend them. Pretend like it's not there. And we're full of churches that will enable people to do that. Well, we're not going to talk about that verse because it's going to offend people and it's going to cause people will leave and have their feelings hurt. And so we aid that sort of mentality. Well, I don't like that part of the Bible, so I'm just going to skip over it, sort of give it the silent treatment. And you always will know these people because they will live in the open with their sin unrepentant, as if the Bible doesn't even talk about it. It's almost like sometimes they wave it in front of you. I dare you to confront me because I'll call you a judgmental person and express my anger towards you about this whole rule thing. That's just rebellion. That's not. Remember the narcissism we talked about, which type of person in the world is the most difficult to confront? A narcissist. Because there's always a thick layer of self-love that prevents them from seeing themselves as the issue. So the only way to successfully confront a narcissist is to be very direct and corner them logically in an inescapable way. And when that happens, what happens from a narcissist? Anger. Outburst. There could develop a hostile disposition to truth when it doesn't correspond with our convictions. And people will sometimes express, when they're cornered and when they're confronted and they're actually challenged,